Have you ever felt like something is being torn out from inside you, and you don't know what it is? It's not physical pain. It's not anger. It's something deeper. An internal echo you can't explain, like your soul screaming underwater. You don't know when it started, but every time you talk to certain people, you end up feeling smaller, more insecure, more confused. Sometimes it's your friends, sometimes your partner, sometimes your own mother. The most unsettling part is that you don't notice it at first. You feel it afterward. After the call, after that conversation that seemed innocent, after the comment that was supposedly for your own good. And you wonder, why do I feel guilty if I didn't do anything wrong? That's where the confusion begins. They make you doubt your judgment, your decisions, your emotions, and the scariest part is that many do it without knowing, because they learned to live manipulating since childhood. Because emotional blackmail is their native language, because they were taught that love can also hurt, and they repeat it like an unconscious prayer. And you tolerate it. Once, twice, 10 times. Because there is a poison worse than abuse, the bond. When the one who hurts you shares your last name, when you share blood or memories or years of history. So you swallow the blow, you justify it. It's because he's my father. It's always been that way. In the end, he loves me. But psychology is clear. The damage doesn't disappear just because it comes from someone close. On the contrary, it's deeper, slower, more invisible. Because there are no enemies there is poisoned affection. Carl Jung said it brutally. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And you have been calling personality what is really trauma for years. You call love what is really dependency. You call loyalty what is really the fear of breaking the chain. But if you don't do something, you will stay there, trapped, in a prison without bars, in a jail where you yourself are the jailer. The worst part is that damage doesn't scream, it whispers. It slips into your decisions, into your self-esteem, into your relationships, into how you see yourself, into how you choose who accompanies you, into how you allow them to speak to you, into how you keep silent. Because when you normalize the unacceptable, you end up believing you deserve crumbs. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 behaviors you must never allow. It doesn't matter who does them. It doesn't matter if you've known them since childhood. It doesn't matter if you love them with all your soul. Because there is something Jung made clear that almost no one dares to repeat. What you repress in the name of family, you will pay for in your identity. Today, I want you to question everything. I want you to review every conversation that made you feel a shadow. I want you to listen to this not with your ears, but with your scar, and know that you are not alone. What you're going to hear today is not easy, but if it resonates with you, if something inside you starts to burn while you listen to me, then you are ready to open that door. Because freedom begins the day you decide not to tolerate the intolerable, even if it hurts, even if they point fingers at you, even if the voice that hurts you has your own face. Get ready, because after this, you won't be able to close your eyes like before. Do you feel it? That tension that doesn't come from the body, but from the soul. That which started as discomfort and now is anxiety in disguise. It is the slow erosion of the self. Because it's not just about behaviors you must not tolerate. There is something deeper, the invisible mold. That way they taught you to fit in. Since you were a child, they told you how you had to be, when to speak, what to think, what to keep quiet, what to feel, what to hide. And so you adapted, you kept bending your shape to fit into spaces that weren't yours, Until one day, you broke without knowing why. The dangerous thing is not what others do to you. It's what you do to yourself for not wanting to disappoint them. You betray yourself, you stay silent, you smile out of politeness. You say yes when inside everything screams no. You give yourself less rest, less love, less forgiveness. And do you know what happens? That there comes a point where you become an accomplice in your own disappearance, because the mold in which you fit becomes your cage. And you can't blame the world if you are the one still reinforcing the bars. Jung said it bluntly. The greatest problem of the human being is not that he does not know himself. It's that he is afraid to meet himself. And that fear feeds on something very concrete. Toxic loyalty. Does that sound familiar? That invisible need not to fail your people. To follow in your father's footsteps, to carry your mother's pain, not to go beyond what your environment approves. And the worst, you do it without realizing it. Because the soul inherits more than blood. It inherits silences, inherits patterns, inherits chains. This is not cheap philosophy, it's pure psychology. Many of your failures, many of your broken relationships, many of your thwarted decisions were not your mistakes. They were acts of unconscious loyalty, invisible loyalties to a family system that taught you to minimize yourself to fit in. They told you not to be selfish, not to raise your voice, not to stand out too much. That success was dangerous. That desire was a sin. That ambition was arrogance. And you swallowed every word as if it were divine law. But it wasn't. It was just inherited fear. Do you know what that causes over time? That you repeat their story without realizing it. The child of the one who was abandoned abandons. The daughter of the one who was silenced stays silent. The grandchild of the one who lived in fear lives on alert. It's not magic, it's repetition. Because what you don't heal, you imitate. What you don't question, you repeat. And what you repeat, you condemn to keep existing. Until someone, you, dares to break the cycle. And breaking the cycle is not betrayal, it is liberation. It's not hate, it's responsibility. Because if you don't do it, someone else in your line will suffer it. And if you already did it, you know how hard it is. Nobody applauds you for healing. Nobody celebrates you for saying enough. Rather, they call you cold, ungrateful, selfish. They accuse you of destroying what you are actually saving. Because when you start to set boundaries, those who lived off your sacrifice start to lose control. Family is not always that sacred refuge painted by fairy tales. Sometimes it is a mask factory, and when you decide to take it off, they look at you like a traitor. But there is something you have to understand once and for all. You can't live to protect other people's traumas. You can't keep being hurt just because they never wanted to heal. You can't put out your fire so they don't burn. And here comes the darkest part of all this. Many prefer to keep suffering rather than lose the love of those who hurt them. Why? Because human beings prefer known pain to uncertain freedom. They prefer an identity built on fear, rather than face the abyss of not knowing who they are without that pain. The familiar, even if it hurts, offers comfort. And the new, even if it frees, causes vertigo. That's why many stay. That's why many keep justifying the unjustifiable. Because leaving there is not only difficult, it's lonely. But listen to this. The loneliness that appears when you set boundaries is not punishment. It is the silence that precedes your truth. It is the pause between who you were and who you are going to be. It is the space where you stop living for others and start existing for yourself. That is where authenticity is born. And with it comes power. The power to choose, to decide, to get up from the table when respect is no longer served. It's not about going through life-breaking ties. It's about stopping holding on to those that are drowning you. It's about looking around and saying, "Did I choose this or was it imposed on me?" And if you didn't choose it, you have the right to change it. Because what is inherited is not destiny, and what was necessary yesterday can be poison today. Your loyalty must be to your growth, not your limitation. And now tell me, are you going to keep enduring the unbearable out of fear of being alone? Or are you going to walk, even if in silence, toward a place where your soul doesn't have to ask permission to breathe? This is not a self-help video. It is a warning. Because the price of staying silent, of adapting, of continuing to allow what destroys you is your entire life. And a life lived halfway, out of obligation, fear, or habit, is not life. It is survival. Carl Jung knew it. And you know it too, even if you don't want to admit it. And the cruelest part of all this is that time doesn't stop to wait for you while you decide if you deserve something better. Life doesn't hit pause because of your indecision. While you hesitate whether to cut that bond, to let go of that inherited guilt, to dare to set boundaries, the days go by. And I swear there is no more ruthless punishment than looking back and realizing you knew, but did nothing. That you felt it in your body. That your intuition screamed, "Get out of there!" and you stayed, out of fear, out of nostalgia, out of attachment, out of that deadly trap called hope. But it's too late to pretend you don't know anymore. You already heard it. You already saw it clearly. Now the responsibility is yours, because what is not named dominates you, but what is recognized transforms. And you just looked the monster in the eyes. Now you have two options. Go back to sleep with it, or turn on the light once and for all. And here comes the final blow, the one many don't want to hear. Not everyone deserves to stay in your life. And that includes those who saw you grow, who shared your childhood, who love you a lot, but don't know how to love you well. Affection does not justify the wound. Shared time does not excuse the harm. Blood is not an excuse for abuse. And real love does not demand that you betray yourself to keep it. And now that we've made it this far, before we continue, I want to present the following to you. Our book, The Formula of Awakening, is now available. Do you feel like there's something inside you that wants to awaken, but you don't know where to start? Then I invite you to transform your way of thinking, and with it, your way of living. Discover who you can become. Start today. The link to get the ebook is in the first pinned comment of this video. Grab your copy now at a great price. With that said, let's continue with the video. So, if anything you heard today made you feel uncomfortable, if any phrase pierced you like a silent knife, don't run from it. Don't deny it. Don't cover it up. That discomfort is an alarm, not to run away, to wake up. Because maybe you have spent your whole life sleeping in a reality that wasn't yours. And now you are finally opening your eyes. And if you made it this far, it's because you can no longer go back. Your unconscious has already been exposed. What was once shadow is now light. And the light, even if it hurts at first, reveals what was always there. You choose whether to close your eyes again or to start living with them wide open. If this video made you think, if something inside you moved, if you feel that finally someone put into words what you have been feeling your whole life, then don't leave in silence. Leave a mark. Write in the comments the phrase, "I do not inherit chains." And let that phrase be the beginning of your break with everything that no longer fits you. And subscribe, not out of obligation. Do it if you are willing to face your shadow, if you are ready to keep digging until you find out who you really are. Here you won't find pats on the back. Here you will find the truth. And the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is the only path to your freedom. Now go out there and start behaving like someone who finally understood they deserve more than emotional crumbs. Stop begging at tables where you should be sitting as an honored guest. And if the silence hurts, remember, it is the sound of your soul settling into its true place. Thank you for being here. Now turn this off and start making noise in your real life until the next dose of reality.